Hey guys, what's going on? It's Wood here. And today I'm in my war room again, obviously, as you can tell. Today I will be doing a review on my German Fallschirmjager uniform. Fallschirmjager in German means sky hunter, or as the Fallschirmjagers are better known as, German paratroopers. So today I'm doing my review on my German paratrooper gear. So obviously there's a ton of shit that goes into this stuff. It took me a very long time to get most of this. I'm still missing a few odds and ends, but for the most part I have just about everything. So anyway, this is my German Fallschirmjager kit and impression. So the group I'm a part of is Fallschirmjager Regiment 2, Company 6, based out of Massachusetts. A good friend of mine runs that unit, and I've been with that unit now, I'd say 2.5 years. So it's taken me a little while to acquire most of this equipment. Some of it is unfinished, some of it isn't. So just bear with me, and I promise later on when I get the full equipment, I'll do another review. But for now, this is what I have. So to start off, obviously everybody knows, the Africa Corps look. We have, the German paratrooper trousers with belt. Also kind of cool. If you look down, you can actually see that it has like some type of like buckle system or like strap system, down at the bottom of the pant leg, so you can buckle in your, you can basically blouse your boots without having to actually blouse your boots. You can just wrap the buckle around them, tighten it up with the string, and you're good to go. You have the Africa Corps shirt, super lightweight. That is the German Luftwaffe Eagle, or some reenactors on the American or Allied side like to call it the Luft Chicken. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Who cares? It's a Luftwaffe Eagle to me. Super lightweight uniform. Literally, it's made for this tropical hot heat kind of weather. Obviously, as you can tell, there is my M41 Stahl helm. Really, really cool. It has the Weimar shield on the side and also the Luft Chicken on the other side of the helmet. Love that helmet. It's pretty cool. My friend of mine, the company commander of my regiment for German paratroopers, actually made that helmet, so really, really cool. Next, moving on, this is a German jump smock or field smock. This is more or less like a fantasy look, guys, so don't buy into this too much. I wore it temporarily in a couple of events because it was the only smock that I had at the time. A lot of reenactors will actually fight you on the authenticity of this. But listen, guys, if you're just looking to get started out, looking for a relatively cheap smock, something that, has a uniform and you can put, the Luft Chicken on it, then by all means, get yourself this smock. It's super cheap, talking maybe 60, 70 bucks. So, if you're just looking just to jump into it real quick, get yourself a temporary uniform, definitely pick one of these smocks up. It's super comfortable. It's really thick and it can take a punishment. I've crawled around multiple mud holes in this thing. Really, really cool. Awesome uniform. I have no qualms about this. So next, this is actually one of my pride and joys that I own. This is a M38 German Luftwaffe jump smock, or as they would also call it, a step-in smock. Because what you do is you put both your legs down over where the zipper is, and then stick one leg through the pant leg here, and another leg through the other pant leg here, and then you're good to go. Super expensive though. I paid probably around I'd say $350 for this, but it's a true authentic German paratrooper jump smock reproduction. I got it from a guy in Italy or Malta. I think it was in Malta, from Luftwaffe Supplies. It took a couple of weeks to get here, but I'm super impressed with it, and I love my jump smock. Super comfortable. It's basically like, you guys ever seen rompers? That's basically what it is. It's a onesie or a romper, whatever you want to call it. Those are my jump gauntlets. They're made of leather. Really, really comfortable. Super comfortable, especially in the summertime when your hands are fucking frying out in the sun. Throw those on, you're good to go. Or even in the wintertime, if your hands are frying, you're just good to go with those. So definitely get yourself a set of those. Next, we're moving over. These are the German, World War II German side lace boots that would have been issued to the early war German paratroopers, or Fallschirmjäger if you want to call them that. They're super comfy. These obviously are super broken in. I got these as hand-me-downs from the company commander of my regiment. They were a little beat up, but I've obviously added all the dirt and mud to it because they've seen a lot of combat action, quote unquote, for reenacting. They are hobnailed, so they are true to German authentic form. And clearly you can tell these things have definitely been through the ringer. But I love these boots. They're super comfy. Next, we have the German paratrooper knee pads. You know, they would obviously wear knee pads when they would jump out of a plane because, well, let's face it, they kind of did things unorthodox. Their parachutes, paratrooper parachutes, didn't have the, what do you want to call it, the pull strings or the pull tabs to kind of control where the parachute went. They basically just winged it, jumped out the plane with a parachute on, and wherever they landed, they landed. And it wasn't, most of the time, it wasn't a soft landing. It was generally a pretty hard landing. So, you know, knee pads were definitely required. Not only that, I'm probably one of a few actual Fallschirmjager reenactors that actually, I'll wear these when I go into quote-unquote combat out into the field. I'll actually put these on. Most German Fallschirmjagers will actually not, reenactors I should say, will not wear the knee pads, although I think it adds a little more authenticity. Plus, it always gets kind of a ooh or an ah from the crowd going, you know, oh, what are those? You know, and then, you know, you obviously draw in the people and you can talk to them about your kit. So I wear them because it serves a dual purpose. So next is the German paratrooper jump pants, or the standard wool pants with the drawstrings at the bottom. I love these things because actually up at the top there is these little vent holes right here that are snap, and you can actually open these up and make your legs breathe. Yes, this is wool pants, but in the summertime, if you open those holes up, your legs can breathe. And also in the wintertime, if you're wearing long underwear under these, you can actually stuff a couple of stick grenades, if you know guys that know how to make them, or even for your impression, you can stick your stick grenades in these holes and they'll actually stick right out. It looks pretty cool. Obviously, it comes with standard German Army World War II suspenders. Most of the stuff that I own, guys, is actually hand-me-downs, but some of the stuff I actually did have to buy. Yeah, I'm not going to get into what I did and what I didn't buy, you know, just because I think that's just a waste of time. So anyway, these are the German paratrooper wool pants. These would be standard issued for every German Fallschirmjäger ever, and obviously you can tell they've definitely had some wear and tear and seen some action in the field. So, you know, moving on. So next is the German Luftwaffe dress shirt. Every German paratrooper in the summertime would wear this, as well as the wintertime would wear this shirt. This was your standard issued shirt underneath your uniform. Obviously, as you can tell, I've seen a lot of wear and tear by the buttons, you know, the German issue buttons, you know. So really super lightweight, comfortable uniform. You know, I've never had any real qualms with it. You know, I love this uniform. It's super comfy. That's the thing with German uniforms, is most of them are super comfy, super, you know, and they also, let's face it, like, no, I'm not a Nazi, guys, so I'm just going to throw that out again for you guys that might think that I am, or maybe I'm a Nazi sympathizer. I'm not. I'm just a reenactor. That's it. Or living historian, or whatever you want to call it. But I'm not a Nazi. But the uniforms that the Nazis wore, you got to admit, guys, they are super flashy, and they do look pretty badass. So I'm just throwing that out there. But no, I'm not a Nazi. So anyway, moving on next, we have the German summer fatigue shirt. And these would have been worn in the summertime, or actually if you were on garrison duty or just hanging out on your off days or doing whatever it is a German soldier would do on his off days. They would wear these uniform, or this shirt, instead of wearing the dress shirt. So super lightweight, again, super comfortable. Obviously, you know, you can tell it's kind of made with a cotton material. Most of the uniforms these guys had were cotton or wool, as you can clearly tell. But this is a super lightweight, super comfortable uniform. You know, I like this shirt. It's actually really, really nice on a hot day. You know, you don't sweat a lot in it. So moving on, we have the German issued wool shirt. That would have been given to every German soldier. And again, this would have been worn on your off days if you were hanging out, or if you're on garrison duty and you didn't feel like wearing your full uniform. You could wear this over this shirt or over your standard shirt, and then put your field cap on, which is, you know, the equivalent to the U.S. Army cunt cap. So super comfortable shirts made of wool. It's not too thick. You know, it's actually relatively lightweight. This is actually a post-war shirt. It's literally the same exact thing. Only difference is post-war had the green marking, whereas, you know, World War II didn't. I got this shirt at a reenactment earlier, probably about a year and a half ago, because I was freezing my ass off and I didn't have the wool shirt. So this was actually given to me by the company commander of my regiment, who takes care of his boy. That's right, you know who who I'm talking about, George. He just took care of me and gave me this wool shirt. You know, he said, hey, if you can in the future, definitely pick a regular wool shirt up, which I obviously followed suit, and I did. So, you know, I keep this just kind of as like a, hey, this is after war, this is during the war. So after, during. Again, super lightweight material. It's literally the same shirt, guys. It's, you know, it's not that thick, super comfortable, super warm, you know, especially when you're wearing all the other uniform accoutrements and stuff. You know, it's definitely nice to wear. So next, moving on, we move to the German, what is called the Fliegerbluse, pronounced Fliegerbluse, or the German dress jacket, or in the American layman's terms would probably be considered like the U.S. Army M41 jacket. It is made of wool. It is super hot. I like my uniform, but again, it's wool, you know, and anything like wool, you know, obviously attracts and keeps in all the heat. As you can clearly tell, you have your Luftchicken here. You have your German paratrooper jump badge, which is this emblem right here. This is a wounded badge. Yes, I know I wasn't really wounded. I wear it every time in case if I get an injury during a reenactment. You know, I usually like to try to keep up with, you know, my injuries. That way I can go, yeah, I earned this badge by doing this, this, and that. And all that kind of adds to the authenticity of my character for reenacting German paratrooper. Iron Cross, obviously everybody knows the Iron Cross. Was it basically like the German version of the Medal of Honor, except, you know, it wasn't the Pour le Mérite, or as they call the Blue Max. This is just your standard issue Iron Cross First Class, awarded for doing something valorous in the field. Next, we have the Luftwaffe Gulls, which would basically emulate my rank on my collar. So right here, this is actually would be what would be called Oberjäger, or as in American terms, it's corporal in the German Army, or German Luftwaffe, I should say. So I'm an Oberjäger, or corporal in the Luftwaffe. Next, so if you guys got to forgive me too, so my Fliegerbluse is not fully set up yet. You know, I apologize. It's just such a pain in the ass, you know, trying to bring your uniform stuff to people, especially trying to explain what you do as a reenactor, being a German reenactor. You know, obviously the Nazi markings and all that shit doesn't exactly go well with people, and it doesn't sit right with people. So, you know, you just got to forgive me for not having the full uniform set up yet, but I promise you in the near future I will, and I'll do another video on this stuff again, just to kind of show you guys the completed version of my uniform. So again, I apologize for not having it fully set up, but I am showing everything that I have at the moment. So moving on, so right here we have the German Army field stripes for the uniform, and these right here are the cuff titles for places that the Luftwaffe Fallschirmjagers fought. So obviously Krita, if you guys know anything about the Battle of Crete, it actually just ended yesterday, June 1st. Germany finally, you know, captured the island of Crete in the Mediterranean Sea and pushed the English and Allied forces off the island, thus conquering it. Obviously next is the Africa cuff title, which would sit right above the Krita cuff title, and that is for like German paratroopers who would have gone on to go and fight in Africa during the campaign in Africa and Tunisia and Algeria, as everybody knows, the Africa Corps. So, you know, the Luftwaffe obviously played a major role in Africa, and yes, there were Fallschirmjagers that fought in Africa. So, you know, I wanted to just do an overall complete impression and kind of make my character's personality, you know, fight from the very beginning of the war all the way to the very end. And obviously being in Krita in Africa, you know, it's pretty cool to have that stuff and kind of explain the history of it. So next, these are the collar button, or excuse me, the lapel buttons on top of my shoulder boards on my uniform. Those buttons right there at the very top, this one, and again that one will be replaced with the FJR2 Fallschirmjager 2 Regiment 2 buttons, so that'll come with due time. And obviously the German cap device will be going on my German cunt cap, so be on the lookout for that. I'll show you guys in a later video about that too. Next, we move on to the actual German Fallschirmjager regiment cuff titles, just to show you guys what group that the FJs were a part of. So when I refer to FJ, it does mean Fallschirmjager. It's just a condensed version. Instead of saying Fallschirmjager 100,000 times, I can just say FJ. So FJ is Fallschirmjager. The difference between the cuff titles is the top cuff title would have been standard issued for the enlisted man, and the bottom one would either be your NCOs or your non-commissioned officers, or your officers' cuff titles would have had the silver lining along the cuff titles, whereas the regular enlisted guys would just have a plain Jane green one. So that's really the only difference between the two, but it's the same unit. So next, moving on, we have the German, cunt cap, which is seen here, as well as the German, what they call the crusher cap, which was the dress cap for the Luftwaffe. So this is a German Luftwaffe crusher cap, which is associated with all the Germans and quote-unquote Nazis. So nothing real special about it, just a dress cap and your standard field cap. So, and above that, the Fliegerbluse is the German scarf, or it's basically for a fashion statement. Obviously, being part of the German Air Force, German airmen, obviously, or just airmen in general during the obviously early 1900s, the 20s, 30s, and 40s. This was seen as a kind of a fashion statement. So, I'm not saying the German paratroopers are fashionistas by any means, but it was kind of a fashion, it's a fashion statement for, trying to attract, young women, to obviously do extracurricular activities with. So, that's the reasoning for that. Also, you can use it as a tourniquet as well if you need it to, or a combat bandage or whatever. You can kind of use it as a multi-purpose, deal. So moving on next, obviously everybody knows the German paratrooper helmet. This is the M38 paratrooper helmet with chicken wire. Yes, this is actually just chicken wire, which is pretty common in Europe, commonly found, in everybody's property in Europe. The Germans would actually take that. It's actually the same kind of concept that we borrowed from the Germans with chicken wire, just with our own netting on our helmets. The Germans would actually stick grass and whatever else they could into the helmets to try and use it as camouflage. So that's the chicken wire. Now the paint job on the helmet is actually a Normandy camouflage. Yes, that's authentic to the time of the Battle of Normandy, which is coming up this weekend, June 5th and June 6th, on which the Fallschirmjagers also fought in Normandy. So, that camouflage right there is truly authentic to the time of the battle. So it's pretty cool. I love my helmet. I probably paid somewhere around $285 for my helmet. But I love it. The guy did a great job. The guy's based out of Missouri. Did a super good job. You can check him out on Amazon eBay. He's got plenty of other helmets too. I'm thinking about picking up a German paratrooper medic helmet and becoming what they would call a Sanitäter, or a German medic, is what a Sanitäter is. So anyway, moving on, guys. We're moving on to the leather gear. And again, as I said, I apologize for not having the full kit. The only thing that I'm really missing on my leather gear is my MP40 magazine pouches with the magazines. Kind of a pain in the ass to pick up at the moment, because they're just so overpriced, I think. And they're just, it's kind of hard because there's so many different colors. You can get it in tan, you can get it in green, you can get them in gray. I don't really know which one I want to pick up. So I might do an early war impression, get it kind of like a German bluish color. I'm not sure yet, but I'll definitely let you guys know. And I'll show you guys too when I pick those up. So that's the only thing really missing on my German leather gear is the MP40 magazines, or the K98 magazine pouches. So, but anyway, we have our German standard issue bread bag with canteen. Obviously the German leather belt. These are called Y straps. It's kind of similar to our web gear, except the Germans just had made it simple and easy 3 straps that connect to the belt, 2 in the front, 1 in the back. So 2 in the front. These go over the shoulders on each arm, and this just hangs down in the back to kind of keep everything tight, tight and close together. So this is a German field mess kit. Basically, it acts like your lunch pail. You can also boil coffee and put water in it too. It's kind of similar to our canteen cups and kits. So pretty interesting. And anyway, and obviously the German belt buckle, Luftwaffe belt buckle. So this item right here is actually a German gas mask bag. A lot of the Fallschirmjägers at the beginning of the war wore these, but as the war kind of progressed and went on, people kind of started to realize, hey, we're not using gas. A lot of these guys would just chuck this fucking thing because it's basically useless. I've never worn it. I don't intend to wear it, because again, I think it's just kind of pointless. So, so moving on, we obviously are going to move on to check out this. This is a 1938 German backpack that I acquired from a friend of mine. It's all original to the time of World War II. It's a 1937 or 38 backpack that would have been given to like a German soldier, say, fighting in the Alps or whatnot. So if you're a Geburtsjäger or whatever, mountain soldier, this is definitely a bag that you'd want to pick up. But I use it because the Fallschirmjager kit is actually one of my favorites because it's the most diverse out of all the kits. Because FJs really use just about anything they could get their hands on. So, for someone to have this as a paratrooper, it's not far-fetched. It's not a far-fetched idea. So, anyway, moving on. So we have your German fighting trench knife. Obviously, every good paratrooper carries a knife. I do on my German kit and on my American kit, but this is my German kit. Next, if you guys have never seen one of these before, these are German handcuffs. Not standard issue, something that a guy maybe would pick up or maybe German field police would have on them. And it basically acts like if you guys have ever seen a corkscrew, it's basically a corkscrew with a chain. So what you do is you put the chain around the guy's wrist and then tighten and twist. And basically that guy's going to do whatever the hell you want him to do. So, really, really cool piece there. Next, moving on, obviously, if you guys have seen any of my earlier videos, you've seen my GSG MP40. Obviously, it's an MP40 submachine gun. This is a single fire, obviously. It's not full auto, and it doesn't have the butt stock on it, but eventually I'll grab one of those. Right now, they're kind of hard to find because everybody's buying them due to the pandemic and the gun crisis and blah, blah, blah. So at some point, I'll definitely get the sling as well as the butt stock, which, I'm hoping to get soon if they come back in stock. So, but anyway, this is actually a 25-round magazine. You can't find 30 rounders unless you want to pay an arm and a leg for them, which I clearly don't. And the German magazines for an MP40 GSG right now go for somewhere between $45 and $65 a piece. So probably not going to have a ton of magazines in the future. Hopefully the price will come down on them, or I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and buy them in lots. So anyway, that's my GSG MP40. I haven't used it in a reenactment scenario yet, and I'm really looking forward to using it. So hopefully sometime soon. And obviously above it is the German K98. This is an original German Steyr K98, 1943. I believe it's a 43. It might be a 44. Hold on one second, guys. Yeah, I can get that. It's a Steyr 43, so it's a 1943 German bolt-action rifle from World War II. I picked this up for, I'd say $650 back when I lived up in Vermont. And, obviously shoots 8mm Mauser. I've never fired this weapon yet either. I've fired my MP40 a ton of times. Obviously, you guys can see that in my earlier videos. But I haven't really fired at all my K98. I fired them, different ones in reenactments, but I've never fired this specific one. So hopefully sometime soon I can do a video on that and show you guys, my K98 and see what she can do. But I love it. This is just, just a couple of weapons that would have been familiar to the German Fallschirmjäger, and what would have made them stick out to the American or Allied troops that the FJs, ran across. So anyway, guys, for now, this is my video on my German Fallschirmjäger impression. I'm sorry that it's, not a little bit more in detail. Still relatively new to the FJ community. But for now, this is kind of what I have. And I have most of the kit. So, it's not too far from being complete. Just a couple odds and ends. So for now, and anyway, guys, if you have any questions, please ask. I'm always willing to answer questions for anyone that might be curious or if anybody has any comments on how to make my impression a lot better, or any kind of simple fixes I can do, or if they have just, you know, things in general that maybe I can work on, or maybe they want to work on, and or maybe see